You got them up? Did you email me yours?
Yep.
Okay. Let's see. When did you email me yours? Boulevard, right? Maybe you should bring us some boba tea. Alright, Boulevard.
Okay. So this is the work breakdown searching for Global Bar. This is specifically for us starting doing pop-ups. So it kind of switched around the order in which that things would be done. I was thinking we start with market research here in the middle, just to determine our target market and find out who exactly we are looking to sell the alcoholic boba to. And so then with that, we determine where our locations will be. I was thinking that it would be like in one city for a while, not a while, but like longer than like a week or two, but like a month to 3 months, possibly at different locations in that city. And so looking for locations that would be really popular for people, for our target market, and then determining the hours, exactly when they would like the product. And then, like, say, go to operations, where we would source materials, determine the product that we're actually going to be selling, and creating recipes with those materials. So the boba place I worked for sourced them from Taiwan. We had a wholesaler there. And so just finding exactly what materials we'll be having and how to make them and how to turn them into the drinks that we want to sell. And then establishing prices, that's sort of also based on the target market and exactly how much they are willing to pay and how much our materials cost and everything like that. And then HR, I put hire temporary workers and hire managers as two different things, because if we're a pop-up, it's sort of an issue of whether you're going to have the same group of people traveling to each pop-up working at each one, or if you're going to hire temporary workers at each different location. So I figured we would do managers that travel to each one, like 2 or 3, and then temporary workers, since we're planting in one city for 2 to 3 months at a time, we would hire temporary workers in each city and then move on to be sort of like seasonal workers. And then determining pay with those workers, job titles and everything for everyone. For the managers, for the temporary workers, everything like that. And then marketing, we would brainstorm ways to get new people in and exactly how to target our target market. And we would hire influencers and do social media to really get our name out there, since the nature of pop-ups is very trendy and it's very influencer and social media forward. That would be our main focus on marketing.
Awesome, thank you. Questions?
So, please excuse my ignorance, I don't know how long these pop-ups last, but, with that said, you mentioned that you wanted to do these pop-ups, but like, they kinda like last more than a week, like up to a month, so, if it's like temporary, like a week or a few days, obviously, you have to make sure nothing's too, I guess, fixed, because you're gonna pack up and leave, but with the month-long stay. So, is this similar to how Spirit Halloween kind of functions? Because they tend to lease out storage for like just the Halloween season.
Yeah, it would be kind of similar to that, except it would be just like in different cities for different like of those months.
Okay.
But kind of exactly like that, where we just have one space for that amount of time at least.
Gotcha.
Alright, here's a question, do you think that this, concept is, experimental versus long-term?
I think that the pop-ups are more experimental, and then we would, after the pop-ups, whether we do it like a year long of like traveling to different places and doing different pop-ups and seeing exactly where worked best and where we had the most interest, and then it would become more long-term, getting a brick and mortar store, and planting our feet.
So what do you see in terms of this structure, like some of the biggest obstacles?
I mean, being a pop-up, moving around, you're not gonna have any really brand loyalty at all.
Mhm.
No one's gonna travel across the state to just get boba, because I would go places, you put your own alcohol in there. But I think brand loyalty might be the biggest issue, and traveling, paying to travel and finding people that are willing to travel with a boba shop as part of their job, might be difficult, and then seasonal workers might be hard, and with, inflation and everything, everybody's looking to get paid more, and so costs of labor are higher. So, and depending on where we go, that will change how much cost of labor is there. Because like minimum wage here is 15 in Cook County.
Yeah.
But in Texas, where I'm from, I wanna say it's still $7.25, so it's different everywhere.
But if it's more expensive somewhere, you would transfer the cost over
Yeah.
to the final product, right?
Yeah.
So, okay. The recipes, so you guys would get the, stuff from Taiwan, you mix it up and just kind of go with the flow and create names and ideas of a certain recipe that you taste tested or something like that, how would that work?
I imagine it would be a process before we opened our first pop-up shop
Yeah.
to create them and craft them. Yeah.
Okay. Was it a way to like get standard, like sort of pre-mixed recipes? Like, is it a way to like source out like pre-made mixtures of recipes and just have it ready to go? Or was it something to where it all had to be kind of handmade?
At the boat place I worked at, it was all handmade.
Handmade.
They sent us tea, and then they sent us, the ingredients like syrups and everything like that, and then, they gave us recipes that we were supposed to measure everything out. But, the recipes are kind of just like, cause it's just a certain amount of tea, and then you put a syrup in there, and then if there's any topping. So it's not like a recipe like baking, where you have a bunch of different ingredients going in, and anything could go wrong. It's just kind of like, what level of flavor of this would you like in there?
Yeah,
So,
just like a bar, right?
Yeah.
How strongly you want it.
exactly, yeah.
Okay. And with hiring temporary workers, do you see any challenges with that in terms of like, loyalty within the company itself, or, getting people to be motivated, work extremely hard with this idea, like?
Yeah, I definitely do see not problems with it, but like difficulties. Because it would be like seasonal workers, cause it's not, but it wouldn't be in the typical seasons always, that, like, it wouldn't just always be in summer or during winter break that you normally hire seasonal workers. So it might be difficult to get people who are willing to come and work hard. Cause I feel like seasonal workers work pretty hard often, cause they're trying to make as much money as they can before they have to leave.
Yeah.
But it might be hard to get anybody to commit to doing 3 months of hard work when they are not going anywhere, they know that they'll just need another job.
Okay. And I know it's kind of a fresh idea concept, but who would be sort of indirect competitors or close competitors to what you're doing?
I would say other like novelty drink places and other places like the alcoholic popsicle shop I mentioned a few weeks ago. I think places boba shops as well, but I feel like boba shops and bars, they're kind of a different, like, they're set apart from us because no one's gonna come to get alcoholic boba when they wanna go take shots at a bar, and no one's gonna go to, and like, I don't feel like it's that much direct competition, but I definitely think that there is still some competition. But I think just other like novelty pop-ups, there's the Museum of Ice Cream, which isn't direct, but it's also another like dessert themed experience, so.
Do you see potentially any way to like get in on cannabis market with this, like having infused?
Yeah, I also, there's a big cannabis market in Austin, Texas, but yeah, I definitely think that that could be with like, I don't know everything about it, but like hemp milk and everything like
Yeah.
that could be a big, yeah.
Yeah, that seems to be growing, so
Mhm.
definitely something to consider. Excellent, thank you. Thank you so much. Who's next? Who wanna come share with us their breakdown? What about our back? Your idea? You wanna email it to me, or you just wanna talk about
I
it?
can just talk about it because I did it in a Word document, it doesn't look that good.
Alright.
So, I can just talk about it.
Okay, you wanna come up here and talk about it, or you wanna stay over here?
I can sit and talk about it, I can pull it up,
Alright.
give me 1 second. It's gonna be a little bit repetitive because it's similar to Cortex, but it's okay.
What about our, auto?
I think I'm gonna email it to you, but I'm not too confident. I want you to look over what I speak about.
Oh, is it to look about it?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, that's the idea. The idea is like, this chapter, we're talking about lean systems, nothing's perfect, right? Because perfect is subjective, you know, so, yeah. Okay, good.
I did more of like the positions that I would have instead of like what we would be doing to open, so I would have like a sales team, a production team, marketing, and like a human resources and payroll team.
Mhm.
And then like under sales, I have like the managers and the associates, and the same thing would be for production. Marketing and human resources would kind of be like a little bit more spread out and different than sales and production, because they're a little bit more complicated, so I have like a marketing manager and like marketing associate and a creative director for marketing, and then under human resources, I have like payroll, training, and hiring directors, compliance managers, and then like corporate lawyers for like all the licenses and stuff.
Okay. So you were talking about like possibly being located in like airports or something like that, right? Cause your
Yeah.
mom works, what was it, your
Yeah.
mom works at the airport or something?
Yeah.
So scale, like just thinking, what are you gonna start with? What do you project, how many stands or kiosks or?
Probably one in the airport, just to like start off. I know like a lot of malls, like I know at the HIP, there's like underground storage. I don't know if the like airport has something similar, but if like they did have like an underground storage, it'd be perfect for like storage and like production, so it's like all really
Yeah.
close by.
Okay. Right, and so really HR marketing, would be very limited amount of people, you could
Yeah.
possibly talk about like 5, 6
Yeah.
people in the whole entire company. Alright, that's good. Now, something to, consider, right? Cause we're talking about process of everything, really operations of everything, right? Even these ideas and concepts you have. And so going into these sort of novel, new startups, you say, I need money, right? Great idea, I need money. Where do I get the money from? So either I'm gonna raise it, maybe I don't know people who have enough money, or people who's confident in the idea to give me the money. Starts to go, okay, I gotta approach a bank, or some investment banker, or something of the sort, right? And so you approach, you say, hey, do I approach with hesitancy on the idea, or just saying, I just want one, I want it really small? Or do you approach large? Say, I need over this amount of money for all the things that could possibly go wrong, but for all the things to anchor what I'm doing. So for example, with both of you guys, operations, you could think, well, okay, one is located in a mall, other is located in the airport. Are there two other locations that can anchor those stores? Because remember, don't put all your eggs in one basket, to keep it simple, right? So if you approach the bank, you say, hey, I just wanna open up a kiosk, I just wanna open up a stand, the bank's gonna be like, are you confident in this idea, because we're giving you the money, right? So sometimes the approach to be a little bit more aggressive at the start lends to have enough capital to make the idea really, really take off. But sometimes when you like, okay, cause your ideas are really efficient, which means like you're not gonna have a lot of debt. Whatever you take out, you make a walk away from really easily. But if you're starting off lean and you're trying to build a demand for a new idea, typically requires a lot of capital and exposure. So just for consideration, right? You make it how you wanna make it, but just for consideration, sometimes you need to kind of go all in, right? Like, give me way more money than I actually need, so that I can make this thing grow the way I want to grow it. And then as you start to grow it, it becomes lean. It's like Toyota didn't really start off lean, obviously. They start off, wasting a lot of stuff. But the idea was already set in place, and then they worked on quality and stuff like that. You get what I'm saying? So sometimes the approach is to take on big first, and then work on making it more efficient over time. So for the mall-related idea, you can say, hey, we're located in a mall, we're located also here to anchor people who don't go to the mall, right? But there's a lot of traffic, somewhere other location, maybe we said like airports or something like that. But for the airport, you like, well, maybe located in malls too. So that way, one kind of teeter-totter places that have a lot of foot traffic underneath one building. So just an idea. Okay, who's next? Tell us about your process. Please speak up.
I'm not done, but I can email you what I have so far.
All right, cause you're the
The boxing gym?
yeah, boxing.
Still work in progress, but send it to you.
Boxing gyms are hard
Yeah.
but I'm not saying that to like, not take it away. They're just, it's open because I don't know if anyone's figured out the perfect.
Yeah, no.
Like
so,
solution
yeah,
to it.
yeah.
But there's so many people who walk past a boxing gym and I wanna try out, I wanna
Yeah.
get a membership or something like that. You just sent it to me?
Yeah, just send it to you.
Alright.
Alright. Yeah, you're listening. Yeah, so it's still a work in progress, so bear with me. Don't pay any mind to the order 10. I realized looking back that, it could have been switched around. So I'll start at project initiation. I have my Volcano Boxing Academy, and I would start off with the team formation, because like I mentioned before, this would be a family-run business. I do have uncles and cousins that are all amateur boxers, and they themselves run their own gyms, but it's not like at a physical warehouse. They run it out of their homes. They run it like in their garages.
Yeah.
And I wanted to take that experience that they have and like put it into like an actual warehouse. So it would be that team formation and setting up like a schedule, because I know we would want like different a variety of customers to come in. We'd want anywhere from like young kids to come in to like people like college age to even like grown men who would like want to stay active and want to find something. it would be for, if you wanna do just casual boxing, it would be for that, just to stay active. And if you also like want to take it a step further and maybe even compete, it would also be for you. It'd be like a mixed variety of everything. And I know I did say that in the beginning that I would also include like MMA and all this, but looking back, I feel like I would just wanna start off with strictly boxing because that's like our area of expertise. And then also, I did include risk management in this, but I was thinking I could maybe even make this like a whole separate, thing for like safety. Cause I know like it is a boxing gym and I do want people to like sign waivers just in case, you know, you do get hurt because this is a physical sport and you will get hit. And I want people to understand that and I want them to like sign a waiver. And the way we like go about our business would have to be like safety oriented, like you want everything to be safe. Cause in boxing, you know, anything can happen, and you can get hurt like really easily. And then in this project initiation, we would set the team, we would have coaches, we would have a general manager, which would probably be me or one of my uncles. And then we would set up our timeline and our budget and our goals and our objective. And then we'd move over to the site selection and the lease negotiation. I might want this to be like in a warehouse setting with a lot of parking, because I do know that a lot of the gyms around here have very limited parking and it's sometimes very hard to reach. So I'd want that, and I'd wanna start out by leasing, not just like the space, but also the equipment. I wouldn't like go right away and buy all the equipment, like by one hit. I lease it at first, cause I wouldn't just wanna buy a whole bunch of equipment and have it laying around. I wanna lease it first, and then see what equipment is the one that works the best, and that kinda ties into our equipment procurement. We would do an equipment comparison, and then we would specify which equipment like is most effective and the one we see that most people are using. And then also, I see a big problem that I'll run into is probably my marketing, because I do know that a lot of the boxing gyms around here, usually when I go into the websites, it's like very limited. And I feel like that's something I wanna work in that makes me different from the rest. I want our website to be like the best, because I know some of these boxing websites haven't been updated since like 2008. And like whenever I wanna join a gym and I go to the website and it's always like email to join, and like I'll email and I won't get like a response till like 2 months later, when it's like I don't need that. And I want a specific team straight on like our marketing and our website, and to make that, you know, one of our main focuses. I would wanna be very social media oriented as well. I wanna like, you know, share success stories, maybe like have some fitness journeys or like changes or something like that. And I do know that one of my biggest problems that I'll face is getting people to come in and stay there. I know that they'll try it, but a lot of people will like probably just get scared away. So I feel like that would be my biggest problem. And also, like upon looking back, I think another thing I could add is maybe like doing promotions, like getting like a whole week free. Like if you set up like a referment program, like if you refer other people, you'll get like some sort of bonus,
Yeah.
something like that.
Are you gonna have memberships?
Yeah, memberships. It would be memberships. It would be monthly memberships.
Okay, so that helps with your costs,
Yeah,
right? 'Cause
yeah.
you say people might not return, but it
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
Because they still pay it,
Because you
yeah.
still have your
But
space.
I would want them to stay, like for the whole thing.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
But like, yeah, it would be monthly memberships.
Who are your competitors? Is it only local boxing gyms? or-
It would also be like the big fitness, like these fitness gyms you see, those would also be direct competitors, because people might just be like, I'd rather just go get fit at like weight train and do my own thing instead of like getting trained to do this. And like some people are just like scared to like try this new thing that could actually, so that's, I feel like that's my biggest competitor, just people being scared to try boxing.
Yeah. Alright, and have you thought about, okay, you need to source customers, or, you know, you talked about how it's just people who wanna learn about boxing, right? People are interested, kids. What other sources of customers would you get?
I like people that just wanna stay active, like people that maybe, I was also thinking about that, maybe like also having like just weights around, so like if you don't wanna do boxing, well, here's your own thing, like you can
Yeah.
do like weight training, and like I'll have like cardio equipment set up, like if you don't wanna do this boxing, like it'll be just there for you to look at. And if you just wanna start off like doing regular workouts by yourself and just looking at that, and then maybe, you know, going over to that might be something. Yeah.
Anybody else got questions?
Don't mean to jump the gun here, but especially for like the more serious customers, like people want to compete
Mhm.
and just trying to retain people. Have you considered like maybe reaching out to boxers, like professional
Like
boxers?
actually,
coming-
like amateur, yeah.
To like come in and kind of like guest coach.
Yeah, like show like a class, that'd be a great idea, yeah. I hadn't thought about that, so thank you for that, but that's something that.
Because think about it, if you have this warehouse, right, you have all this space, you're like, well, okay, we got our memberships Monday through Friday for people, and then we also can host events, professional boxing matches, right? And you're like, that helps our advertisement, right? We could record it, we could post it, we could start to charge people, and now, once again, you're taking the same pie and slicing it, and up into a million different pieces. So, yeah, something to consider, but yeah, this looks really good. I mean, yeah, because you think of boxing, you think very simple. I thought
Yeah.
I'd only do like 4 things
Yeah,
over
yeah,
here.
yeah.
But you've actually, pretty detailed. Yeah, I like it. I like adding other things. Any other questions?
So I know for like MMA, they have people who wanna go pro or actually wanna compete in the UFC have to get certain qualifications to say like, okay, these guys are like, they know the rules, like they don't have to use like headgear or stuff like
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
Would your gym also like, I guess, offer like a course or like courses
Like to
on
get licensed?
certification? Yeah, like licenses.
Well, at first I'd wanna start out like amateur, like going pro, like you'd have to go to the state and get your pro boxing license. But I would wanna start out like doing just amateur with the headgear and all that, like going to like the Golden Gloves and training people to do that. But like going pro, I'm maybe along the line, but right now I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Any other questions? All right, sounds good. Thank you. You know, so a lot of those, like mixed martial arts, regular martial arts, and boxing gyms, right? Let's probably say like martial arts and boxing gyms are probably direct competitors,
Yeah.
right? As kids are signing up, people wanna learn self-defense, women are signing up for self-defense, stuff like that. You're like, well, what do they really struggle with? And how do they kind of get past the struggle of getting people interested in it? Eventually you have to create some sort of proprietary system and say, you know how, so like martial arts give you white belt, yellow belt,
Yeah,
blah, blah,
yeah.
blah, blah, blah. For a specific type of martial art itself, you can consider creating your proprietary system and having people move up.
Or like a
certain-
ranking, like a ranking system?
Yeah, because, think about it, customers need to be reinforced, it's all psychological. Like, we gotta have some sort of motivation, we gotta get reward systems, right? We gotta get a benefit, and for us to feel like we're doing something good, of value, to tell other people, parade about, right? And that would actually be self-marketing, once you get people hooked, right, they'll tell other people. So like, I would say that probably one of the most effective ways I've observed is, creating rating systems, proprietary. You know, so even if you're in martial arts, if you're in mixed martial arts, you create your own mixed martial arts. You'll have all the criticism in the world, like this is fake, you ripped off a cut.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care. I created something that's my own, and then you get a host of people who believe it. Half people won't believe it, right? They'll talk crap. Other half, you don't care, you're making money, and people start to believe in the ideology that you're selling. But that's human nature, so you gotta just observe that, like, people constantly need reward for what they're doing. You know, right? They don't like just showing up. They need some reward-based system so they can parade it, promote it, stuff like that. So, something to consider. All right, man, we got time for one more before we start lecture. One more person. Let's get another volunteer. Any of my French students? Talk about you. Yeah, our cafe. Our cafe and friends. Want to email it to me?
Yeah.
Okay. French cafes are the best. Yeah, like French croissants, like, wow, so good. Who here has been to Paris? Just one person? Outside of Paris, anybody been to France at all? No, you travel. Gotta go to France. Like I said, France. You know what? Funny. My dad's Italian, right? So I'm half Italian, half black. But you know, we always in our family on my dad's side, we always talk about how Italian architecture is just the best. Right? Italians do everything the best, right? But once you go to France, you realize the French do the architecture is even better in my opinion. And the food, I would have to say, outside of pasta and meats, France has some of the best food. Outside of pasta and meat. Pasta, meats, maybe even Spain, you know, with jamon and stuff like that. But, Italians definitely pasta. But, yeah. Nevertheless, if you've never been to France, amazing place. It's just a photo.
Yeah, I don't think it's a one page, so you can scroll after.
Okay.
So, mine is kind of like, there is a lot of idea because the one I've done before, like the work breakdown structure were like very precise, but I will only go like on the first like steps. So, first I choose to put like Notia Cafe, so the name would be Notia, which means enjoy and finish. I decided to break it down between the category like first location and creation. So first like find the place and decorate the environment. Oh.
Yeah, I'll put it back there. Do the whole thing. Okay, and I'll just scroll.
So yeah, so first the location and creation of the place. So I just like write it down, find the place, decorate and organize the place. So first like find like a place where I could like rent to make the cafe. I decided to search for like a place instead of like creating something, like create a building or something. Then I decided like to talk about decorate and organize the place. So think about how the vibe of the cafe would be. Maybe contact an interior designer to see like how it can like become a real place like to be and to like drink a coffee and take a snack. Then I talk about the materials, so the furniture, which means like table, chair, the area where people will put away their dishes also, the food and drinks, the dishes and machine acquisition for like cafe because we will need like machine acquisition. For the next part, it's marketing, I think. So this part is kind of like the biggest, I think. I first said make ads since my cafe will be like near Concordia. I said like so since my cafe will be around Concordia, I would say that it would be a great idea to like launch my idea there. So
website, but I said that the website I will like maybe do it after I launch the cafe, like to see before like doing some ads and then create a website where maybe we can do like click and collect or things like that. Because the cafe is separated between two parts. There is like a dining area, but there is also the takeaway area. So when I'm searching about the location, I thought it was very important to find something like I can have like a parking and also a takeaway area that could be created. Also the branding and market research on who are my customer, who are my target, make surveys about people like what they would like, and really want to like focus what I'm doing on what people want and adapt my different like coffee or idea. So yeah, and I also said like create a loyalty card, like give like discount for people and for students most of the time. And then I said like HR, so recruitment and administrative. I said like find the staffs. So first find the people by posting job offer, maybe like incorporate it too. Then hire people. I will need, as I said, like one barista which need experience, two seller which it doesn't mean any specific experience, can be a student for example, and one takeaway seller which is kind of the same. For the marketing part, I said that it could be like I could do like the marketing part since I'm studying marketing, and then I would have to train them. Also, one of the biggest challenges would be the supplier. As I said, I would like to like farm like fair trade coffee, which means like a coffee that comes from like a good source, and really emphasize the fact that we are trying to do our best concerning the origin of project. So I said find fair trade coffee suppliers and find suppliers for the food too, and the administrative part, which is like all the contracts and invoicing, etc. And finally, the project management in general. I said like the logistic forecast, our like sales and the different operation, plan everything, and make sure like our project is that has some dates and that we plan it.
Excellent. My question is, so how do you expect to differentiate yourself from all the other cafes?
I would like to really give like the French experience, but adapting to the American culture. Because I know if I sell like cafe, like French cafe, would not like I don't think it's gonna like have the huge success, because I know that American like are a lot about iced coffee, like things like that. So I would like try to set that my recipe are inspired of French ones, but adapting to the American culture and making them like really like the French experience of going to a cafe in France, like really the little cafe that we have around the street. Like I would try to like give this vibe, but you are still like in America. I would try to do that because I think it would be like slightly different from like Starbucks or something.
And you think your customers, like your target audience is more college students, since you're
I
trying to
would
be
say
around
that, yes,
Concordia?
and young adults in general, I would say, but mostly like students, because I would be like around the university city.
And you think like you also want a place where students can maybe sit and study too,
Mhm,
or
yeah.
just like you want them to
Yeah,
get
exactly,
comfortable?
that's the thing I wanted, like, they can come to study, and grab a coffee and like a snack. So yeah, basically it would be around lunch, like from the morning till like the afternoon, but it would close at dinner.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically around like hours of student living.
Questions?
So I know the Starbucks here, it's not like, it's a Starbucks, but like it's kind of licensed out and it's parts of Dexo, and because it's at Concordia, I know they have occasionally special drinks, like for Golden Week, for the school's anniversary, there's like this apple pie latte or something. So, and that's kind of more exclusive to the Concordia Starbucks. So that said, have you considered like experimenting and creating like specialty drinks, whether it be permanent or just limited time?
I didn't think about it, but I do think that it's a very good idea that you said, because know we're doing it with friends too, like, I know, like, sometimes there are some, like, I don't know, like, Christmas, like, kind of like coffee, so I think it's definitely something that I would do, I would try to do, and even if we talk about the coffee in general, it's also about snacks, because, I didn't like explain that there is like a lot of snacks, and it would be like maybe croissant, or in general like sandwiches, or things like kinda healthy, so I will always try to be like following, the season, and, giving, yeah, why not giving like some, like, I don't know, like fall product or Christmas product, yeah, I think that's a great thing.
Any other questions? Alright, thank you.
Thank you.
Alright, here's a question. What makes Starbucks successful? What about Starbucks? Just looking at Starbucks, why are they successful? Like it's a coffee shop, right?
All the drinks are always consistent.
Consistent drinks, right? It's the same each time you order. That particular drink is the same each time. What else?
I think the experience they were giving when you're in turn, like they would just buy like the coffee and then you say that they were your name. So they make you feel you're someone and they care about you as a customer.
They personalize
Mhm.
the drink. And that's the thing, it's like small things like that, because we always talk about adding value. Like how can you add value to what you currently do, right? Not like changing all the stuff, but how can you take what you currently have and add value to it? Something as simple as writing people's names gives value, right? People are like, I like when Starbucks does that, right? Now you get more customers to talk about it, free marketing, word of mouth. Baristas, like it's just a person making me some coffee. How's it a barista? Barista, because Starbucks says it's one, right? They're mixing the drinks, they're doing all the stuff, moving around like you would as a bartender, right? So once again, you created this experience of like almost going to a bar, too. Another way to add value. So the difficulty, because there's a lot of cafes in Chicago, like there's a lot I like, but sometimes they don't stick around. They don't make enough money to last. The difficulty is, how do you grow? You know? And so if you say like, hey, I wanna make sandwiches, and then you realize it takes 5 minutes to make the sandwich, right? And when you realize I could just have sandwiches ready, and now people just buy it in 10 seconds. So you're always thinking like, hey, how do I refine? Because what happens is you kind of force your way to not, your idea is like, man, I wanna create this opulent space, I wanna do this and that. But sometimes the market forces you, the demand forces you to change the way you do business. And so if you wanna be successful, you always have to follow what the customers like want, you know? Like if things take too long, you're like, I gotta make it faster, right? If you don't make it faster, then you lose business, you lose that. So just think of that too, like just, cause I'm the same way. Sometimes my ideas I get extremely emotional and tied to it, and I'm like, I want it my way. But the market says, forget your way. It has to be done this if you wanna grow, and not just stay like this forever and ever and ever as a cafe, you know, open up other stores. Stuff like that. I mean, the other part too is most of the high volume Starbucks don't have parking, right? Cause they don't want people lingering that much. And if parking's too filled up, now you make congestion, like people are like, oh man, I wanted to park here too. Now you got parking problems, right? So most of the high volume Starbucks that do the most sales are just ones where you, no parking. You know, they just come in, people live in the neighborhood, stuff like that. So there's things to think about of like refining, cause this whole chapter is like, the idea is great, but you just always have to refine, always. Even when it's perfect, you think it's perfect, you gotta go back, cause now the market's changed again. All right, we'll see if we can get more people up next class. Let's try to get through a little bit of lecture. Just finish off Lynn's system. All right, so we left off at the 5 S's, right? Sort, straighten, shine, standardize, sustain, right? You have the cafe, right? You have the boba tea. you have, I forget what's, like, did you have a name for yours?
I've slapped the name Shot Cakes, but I don't know if I like it.
Shot cake, okay. But for now, we'll just say shot cakes. We got shot cakes, right? We say sort, alright. Everything has to be in its proper place, easily accessible, quick. Cause you don't want people walking way over here just to do something, right? So think of that, sorting, straightening out, make sure everything's nicely arranged. You don't want your workers looking for things, right? Things should be already ready and sorted out and straightened out. Shine, clean, and wash your work area to make sure that it's shining. People's always gonna remember about how clean a cafe or something of the sort is. And then standardize, establish schedules and methods of performing cleaning and sorting, right? So having people on a schedule like, hey, at the beginning we clean up, at the end we clean up, in the middle we clean up too, right? To keep everything managed well. And sustain, create discipline to perform the first 4, whereby everyone understands, obeys, and practices the rules when in the plant. Here they use plant, but this goes to any sort of operation. Let's see if we get one more in. Alright, so some considerations when making things lean, efficient, right? There's a human cost to doing it. You need people to cooperate and trust the system that's in place, and you need to be able to reward the people for doing so. You need to give them motivation in order to keep these systems in place to make everything efficient. And classify labor, right? Make sure that every single task has a name to it. Give it a name, because once you give something a name, you're giving it a meaning. Once you're giving it a meaning, you're giving it a purpose. People wanna follow a purpose, not just a name. Alright, I will see you on, before you go. So we were supposed to have the quiz, right, Friday, and I was gonna cancel class today to take the quiz. So no class Monday. So you have the quiz on Monday. I'll cancel class, but it will start up at class time. It'll start up at 10. Sounds good?